All right. Hey, everybody. So media experimentation proximo, like the next one. We're going to be looking at ink pen. It's ink. Ink comes in lots of forms, the easiest form being some kind of pen. We've got really fine point pens, more regular ballpoint pens. You might even find a pen that is erasable, gel pens, things like that. All of those are fine. They all work really well. You're going to see some from each of these. You will also find a form of ink that is actual liquid, like this or this. This one is a green one that is kind of old. It might still work, I don't know. And then you've got regular black that you can use with things like a calligraphy pen. This one is a bamboo calligraphy pen, which is just dipped into the ink. Or you might use a brush. Now this one is like a Sumei brush, but honestly, a regular painting brush works fine too. So here's what we're gonna do. First off, we're gonna look at things that you've probably touched on somewhere, sometime, at some point before. And that is hatching and cross-hatching. If you are wondering, yes, this is also ink. So hatching and cross-hatching is what we're going to look at first. And for that one, I'm going to go ahead and grab a regular fine tip pen. So hatching, as you might remember, is lines that all are parallel. Parallel being right next to one another. Parallel. Again, forgive me if I'm spelling things terribly. So hatching is going to be a bunch of lines all going in the same direction. To make an area darker, you just need to add more lines than it had before. The more dense those lines are, the more close they are together, the darker that area is going to appear. So you can get a wide range of value from that. Cross-hatching is the exact same thing, only the lines go in more than one direction. So I'm going to start in one direction. I'm going to add another layer going in another direction. I'm going to add another layer going in another direction. And another layer going in another direction. And I can keep adding lines pretty much however, in order to get that same change in value from dense to not so dense, dark to light. One more that you might not have heard of is called scrumble. I don't know why I just camped that. Scrumble works very, very similarly to how this is. The more lines and the more dense, the darker it's going to appear. But a scrumble is, well, it's a scribble. So I'm going to scribble, 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 and then I'm going to add more scribble on one side than the other. More dense scribble, tinier loops and things like that. The benefit to a scrumble is that it will appear like a mess or something much rougher, while hatching and cross-hatching appear much more smooth or flat. So if I wanted something to look like bushes, I'm going to use a scrumble. If I want something to look like a mirror, I'm going to use hatching. If I want something to look like, I don't know, someone's beard maybe, cross-hatching would probably work. All right. Mark making. In the mark making area, I want you to try several different things and several different pens, especially if you can find different pens that are in different colors or different pen types. So for example, you might use a little bit of Sharpie to see what Sharpie looks like. It's a felt tip pen. You might use a regular pen and get some long skinny lines. One of the challenges that you can try for yourself is getting lines that are very thin and very close together and see what that looks like, because that is definitely a texture that is hard to master. Some very thin lines that are all near one another. What happens if you make slow versus fast, so on and so forth. And of course, I do want you to try a pen of some kind, or a dipping brush. So this one, I just have this little one right here. If you don't have this particular tool, something like the end of a needle or the broken end of a pencil and things like that, you can see how that looks. You can get different marks from that. You can even take these and try smearing them. See what that looks like for a type of mark. Ooh, almost spilled that. You can also, if you have these, you can try a different color of ink. This one is quite old. Oof, that one is such an old green that it's barely showing up. Oh, well, now we know. You can kind of see the green in there a little bit still. Most often you're going to find brown, black, and blue inks. Those are the ones that you'll find the most often. Try with a brush. Oops, splatters. So any kind of mark that you can think of is what you want to try.